no Philip Schofield.
Flashbacks to my childhood. Holy fuck.
Let's see. Can I... where do I need to be sitting?
My
over here.
God.
So I can get a bit of messages on screen. They're never big enough. They're never big enough. How do I up the size?
They should be in your settings, I would assume.
Yeah, for Restream, large is never big enough. You always have to set them to custom. I don't know why we're getting like made up chats, but we are. This is amazing content. Just followed you. Keep it up. You're not real. You're not real. Okay, so it's only showing me live on Facebook, which nobody can see, but I guess YouTube and Twitch will kick in a moment.
Hang on, we will find out. Oh, for fuck's sake.
Welcome to the stream. What up, Tech Fail?
England have scored in the first minute.
Oh dear. Oh dear.
Fuck's sake, France. Sorry, English fans.
Well,
or should I say well done?
It's going to be better than the England game.
Good point.
Let's see. I see your YouTube online.
I can see them up there.
Can you see?
That's what I'm saying.
What can you see? Can you see your Twitch or my YouTube?
My Twitch isn't up yet. Give me a minute. I'll see if I'm on YouTube.
Yeah, you're on YouTube. Yeah, I can see that.
Yep, I'm there.
But I apparently am not. Which is strange, because that usually comes up right away. Oh, well, YouTube appears to be showing me live. That's just, yep, live on YouTube. Twitch Madcap 79. It's a Lefty Tech 15 minutes. Your Twitch hasn't connected yet.
Yes, it has. I connected it.
It's not on your Twitch page. It's streaming. Let me just check again. Oh, something's. Nope. Nope, you're not on Twitch yet. Do you remember last time there was an issue around this? And it usually comes up in the side chat that Twitch has been connected. Like explicitly it flies up Twitch. Yes, welcome to the stream.
At 10 p.m., we take drugs.
Ooh, Okay. I decided I would launch my Twitch tonight with this, and it comes up string field title includes banned words. I wonder, is that because Kapp Putsch?
Give me a minute. I'll go and check mine.
Kapp Putsch is probably the most likely. I'm going to change it to German uprising and see if that makes any difference. Oh. Don't talk about history on Twitch. Anybody who's in the chat. Yeah. Oh, okay, what's this? What's going on here? It's showing it should be going out to 2 Twitch channels, I think. Do you know? Right, I'm going to turn mine off, my Twitch. Okay, so your guest channel's paired, but your Twitch is offline.
There we go.
There is.
It was his surname. Stop nerds. There we go.
Yes, stream elements, great stuff. So no Twitch debut from me tonight, but we've got your posse on. A couple of perks. Welcome to a very unusual mega stream. Yeah.
It was Kapp Putsch that had blocked me and his name. I didn't like his name. Look at the way his name's spelled. If you get the actual correct spelling, it looks a bit like female dog. If you get my drift. That's someone's name, for fuck's sake, the Twitch Lincoln.
Twitch be racist. I love Jim's one, Trade Twitch Lincoln. Cool. It's 10 o'clock, it's Ned's time.
Oh, fuck. Ah, balls.
So, we'll take our meds if you've got them. Smoke them.
Rejoice. I have a Mank Pete.
Welcome. Is it still the hottest game in town?
Jim, can you give me a brief overview? And I'm sure I've got a games channel in the Discord for Turmoil, because I looked in on how you and what you were doing, see what it looked like, and it looks fun. Looked cool. That and the Plague one as well.
That was Haida Venue.
Yeah. I've got the score pinned on my phone, so you might hear me swear, and you'll hear me exclaim over this individual that we're covering tonight.
In tonight's stream, we're going to smash both England and France.
And a couple of other countries as well, oddly enough.
This guy has so many identities, it'll be like 16 whatever England or France scores.
Prepare to be educated on one of the most fascinating characters in European and world history.
Yeah.
He gets around.
Do a 2-week stream. We're going to do the first half tonight, second half next week. And there's so much to get through. We'll probably even kick off a bit earlier than usual, tech willing. Katie's gonna give the broad strokes, gonna ask questions. You're welcome to hop in and chat. This is a bit of an area of speciality for me. I spent about 3 years studying this guy. I'm probably Ireland's greatest expert on him. Just saying, like, no big thing. But how's your day been?
It's been right. I've having Specs help me with my new setup. It is being amazing. I've played a couple of my games. I went back into my Baldur's Gate. I spent 4 fucking hours on my oxygen not included, sheltering from fiery yellow orb because it can go and fuck itself. I want to eat it. And basically just potting around the house, essentially. He has asked me to rearrange my clothing. I seem to have an abundance of clothes, most of which probably won't go over the boubage anymore. I've lost more weight off my hips, I have noticed. So I might actually get back into some of my prettier skirts. Hence me wearing my prettiest skirt today. It is gorgeous.
Well,
it is very flowy.
A day of doing very little indeed. Sitting outside smoking, drinking coffee, reading Terry Pratchett. I made an attempt I'm working on a novel at the moment. I'm on the penultimate chapter and I meant to go in and do some work on that. Well, I barely did. And I meant to be organizing this comics festival. We have a print deadline on Monday. I did a little bit of work on that, but not too much. Playing with gerbils. Very little to eat here in terms of, my cupboards are full, but like I eat out of the freezer. So I only have chips left. So I opened a jar of pesto, so my breath smells of lovely green pesto. That's quite a nice feeling. Really brushed teeth, but it's still back there. It's great. Perfect air freshener, I feel.
I love pesto. It's been a while since I've had it.
All the sounds on a Saturday night. Brought to you by Phoenix. Jacqueline.
Olin.
Hey?
Olin. I've already had to use my eye drop 4 times.
The YouTuber's fear of the pollen kind.
Hello, Jacqueline. Go away. Annoy me.
I have got a bit. I'm showing Katie. Look at this. This is my notes for tonight's stream. There's more actually. Is that? Oh shit! There's more. But I think it's only probably. It's probably only about. Oh well, there's the script. There's the. Was this a screenplay I made? Yeah. I wrote a screenplay.
Wow.
I made notes in thumbnail, but like a decade ago. So I'm hoping I can read some of those. Yeah.
That's why God, in His infinite wisdom, made sure that typewriters and computers were developed, because apparently my handwriting is god awful. Blame my primary one teacher for that one. She used to take a ruler to my left hand.
I think I have here, there's Trebitch Lincoln at a typewriter.
There he's there.
Around 1920. Do you know what? I don't actually have written down. Oh, I do have written down. He was born in 1879. That's good, because that's a thing to remember. Yeah, so loads of pictures and stuff. And images, and yeah, so it's good. How's everybody in chat doing today? Like, not everybody in chat, just some of you. I don't want to know all your business. Like, just keep it. I have about 4 comments each on that. That'll be enough invasion into your private lives to satisfy me.
I was gearing up to go to a protest next Saturday during the day, but my branch AGM is on the same day, so I will not be attending the protest. Sorry, comrades, I do apologise. We're gearing up for next year. It's going to take us a while to decide who we're going to be building up, essentially, and sort of get trained. Well, not trained, basically educated until for the May elections next year for the council.
Shanna Cranky Pants, welcome, and thank you for complimenting me. You do, you look fantastic.
Rejoice, comrades, the supermod is here. Hello, my dear. I've been checking on the weather for you. Stay out of fiery yellow orb. You're ginger and Irish. You're like me. You might burn.
Freckly speckly. Yeah. I probably need to make sure I've got some folders open. Yeah.
Yeah, 3 days of rain, at least that's something.
Do you know what? It's going to throw me off my game if I have to talk and throw images up. So if you want to see some stuff, Katie, and chat, please give me a prompt on throwing up images. Maybe some of the stuff will occur to me as we go through. We're not going to do like a share of any of the other Trebitch videos that are online. Maybe next week, or as a recap. There's some good stuff, some good shorts. Yeah. The problem is that because we're stretching this over 6 hours, we're not really stretching, squeezing it into 6 hours, that it might not work for somebody who's squeezed into a 4-minute video.
We're very ambitious of them trying to get this guy down in less than 5 minutes. Yeah, not possible.
So there's some good stuff out there. Do you want to give us an overview, Kitty, or?
Oh yes. So tonight's villain essentially is Ignaz Trebitch Lincoln, a Hungarian Jew, naturalized Brit. He was involved in a lot of different things. So I can my mind just went blank again. Fucking hell, sorry. So when did he come over here? 1900 or
1897, 99 initially for like about a year, 18 months, and then he traveled elsewhere. So one of the features, there's a lot of consistent features about Trebitch, who's otherwise a chameleon, but one is an obsession with travel. His biographer described him as like travel was a disease where he was concerned. He was a lot of obsessions on it. One was
Yeah, in some cases, wanderlust, good thing, expand your horizons, blah blah blah. And in other cases, bad, get into all sorts of situations, as you will find out with this individual. So yeah, restlessness and going places and doing things, variety of things. The bit that fascinates me the most is like the Kapp Putsch and later part when he after the Kapp Putsch, the White International as well, because that intersects with my um, interest in early Soviet history, which would be fun.
yeah.
The White International, by the way, was the faction supporting the Romanovs, the Russian royal family, essentially.
I like to describe Trebitch Lincoln as an evil Forrest Gump or an evil Sam Beckett of Quantum Leap. He has a penchant for implicating himself in most of the major events in world history during his lifetime, which was 1879 to 1943. Tonight we're going to talk about him in six strokes. His young life, his life as a Canadian pseudo missionary, his involvement with Sebon Roundtree, Quaker entrepreneur, and working as a European researcher. I'm going to talk about him as a Liberal MP, swindler, and setting up oil companies. We're going to talk about him as being famous as an international spy, something no spy wants to be, but he embraced it. And then we're going to so I guess, yeah, you asked about London. So basically, his early life before we get there, he was born in Pax in Hungary, or goodness, why can't I remember where Pax is? Hungary or Bucharest? Hungary, yeah, possibly
Oh, for
West.
fuck's sake. No.
This is a don't Google everything because we will be. Don't sweat the small stuff. This is his family home, which was still standing in 1961. There's a synagogue opposite it. Pax was a small village. His father was a well-respected grain merchant who lost everything in the crash, and then later they moved to the center of Hungary off the big famous river that flows through all Europe as a sign. And yep, so he moved to Budapest. The family moved to Budapest. His mother was a very distant relation of the Rothschilds. However, the whole Trebitch family was like very poor. So like the Rothschilds connection isn't really that important unless you're going into the conspiracy theories, of which there are a lot. He was the second of like 6 or 7 children, most of them boys or all of them. His older brother was like a bit of a sort of a star pupil and that. And actually, we'll probably not go into his family unless you're called upon for a part of the story because there's a lot of stuff. But essentially, when he was 14, he was sent to Brecklum in Germany for 18 months to stay with the family there. And so he added German to his ability to speak Hungarian. And he also, as a Jewish family. They also spoke Yiddish. And Trebitch would be quite good through his life at accumulating languages.
Yeah.
He enrolled in the Budapest Royal Academy for Drama and Art, where he would have learned a lot of the tricks of performance and grifting, sort of the exuberance and impetuousness that he had through his life. And he was also a bit of a thief.
He was indeed.
Watches, particularly, he liked to steal watches. And yeah, these were disappearing all over town. So, I mean, the first in his early life, the first big sorry, forgot my memory. Yeah, the first big trip he took was to London around 1898, 99, where there was like a Queen's Jubilee or coronation or something. And he found himself staying in the East End. I don't know how, do you recall much that you could pick up on?
No, I can't. I'm sorry. So the East End of London is historically a Jewish area, which would make sense for a Jew to naturally gravitate towards the place, to either live there or to work there.
Right, I didn't know that. So, hi Omaha, pleasure to have you here. The Danube, well done, Jacqueline. Yeah, the Danube, which flowed through Budapest and several other countries that we've talked to. This scheme just isn't good. But yeah, the Jewish end of London, that would make sense because Trebitch found himself staying in a wanderer's home. It was run by the London Society for the Promotion of Christianity among the Jews. So he went in there under the guise of, right, I'm flipping, I'm going Christian now. It was really for the sake of lodgings, and this place ran an incredibly strict regiment. You know, you had to be up with the bells at 6 a.m. You had to be in bed for 9 a.m. You were allowed to leave the home for like 2 hours a day. They had just like really strict instructions for the people staying there. What was essentially a sort of a hostel for the homeless. Really like prison rules. It was bizarre. That didn't stop Trebitch doing his pickpocketing, getting bored with the way they run things, and going off to another London Society for the Promotion of Christianity amongst the Jews wanderers home in Bristol. He got bored again, come back to London. In a great way for he was a con artist, you know, so he had the kind of the charisma, the ability to talk to people and gain their trust, to flatter them, which probably helped him when he got back to London. And the Reverend Moses Epstein, I think, ran the Wanderers home there, and he managed to get into his office, steal some money, steal his passport, his wife's jewelry, and the Reverend's watch, before popping back to Budapest.
Naughty.
His next little jaunt was, preceded by more watches going missing in Budapest, the police putting out notifications for him. It got a bit hot, so he went to Breckland in Germany. No, Breckland was where he did he did languages, but he went to Germany and he enrolled in. He went to Hamburg and he went to a mission house there, the Jerusalem Home of Irish Presbyterian Mission, which was presided over by a Hungarian Jew called Reverend Frank, and he spent some months there studying for conversion to Christianity. He also met Margaret Kaylor. So Margaret Kaylor was his wife, would become his wife. She had a young son from a previous relationship. Her father was a naval captain, and Trebitch managed to grift him to get a lot of his money with the promise that he would look after Margaret and this young boy, Julius Tutt. 1899, naval captain wanting his daughter and the illegitimate child off his hands. Just thought, yeah, let him go to it. And Margaret wasn't a particularly smart woman, but she was absolutely devoted to him. And all through his life, he was having affairs left, right, and centre, but she didn't seem to be bothered by that.
Oh.
Hi, Reza. Yes, he was the MP for Darlington, and we're going to get to that. Yeah, strange story all the way through.
I'll ask you closer to when we get to there. Something connected that we've covered before, or will I do it now if you want? If it's easier.
We can get there. Well, what's easier for you?
I'll ask now, so that. Do you think him being a Liberal MP might have played a part in the death of the Liberal Party? It came into my mind when I was watching the video earlier on.
It can't have helped. It can't have helped.
Yeah, it couldn't have helped, no.
And now Darlington is best known for being the source of those annoying TB licensing letters. So, I mean, the big kind of next step on his journey was to, so he and Margaret got married, and she spoke no English whatsoever. And there's a apocryphal story from Bernard Wasserstein's Secret Lives of Trebitch Language. Wasserstein, by the way, you'll hear me refer to a lot for this because he's probably the definitive source. He really did the full measure of historians' research on me. Tell my copy is quite screwed up. There's another book on Trebitch Lincoln as well.
You broke the spine, man. What the
I didn't break the spine. I demolished the fucker. This one is by David Lamp and Laszlo Sanasi, and it's from 1961. But if you want to really crack and read, this one was published by Penguin. It's still in print, and it's really a rip and read. And it's. I mean, Wasserstein is a hardcore historian, with an actual research trail. Anyway, the apocryphal story Wasserstein tells, Margaret had so little English, when they got to the front of the church to be married, Trebitch had to prompt her to say, "I do." Because she...
Oh!
Yeah, shady.
Oh, I don't know how I feel about that. Oh,
yeah. And there's a lot of... I mean, the whole Trebitch story is just a mixture of humor and creepiness, right?
Yeah. Oh.
So his next big step was to go to Montreal and follow this. Hold on, we've got a big comment from Jacqueline here. wasn't quite common for members of Parliament to have affairs at the time. Perhaps it was the introduction of universal suffrage changed this attitude about MPs having extramarital affairs. It was there's many a story about Lloyd George in particular. Maybe it was a normalized, ordinary thing. What do you think?
Well, it always happens. Obviously, in that sort of position, being an MP or being a lord or being in cabinet, you're meant to be above reproach, but we know that they're not. We know this. It's the hypocrisy that gets to me. Saying, preaching these values, you have to live by these laws that we set, but we're not going to fucking follow them. MPs looking after our good, our lives essentially. Yes, some of them are scum.
The first bit,
and some of them are speed running in the Paris every day.
So the religious element, it forms the first big chunk of kind of life that we get, where he goes to Montreal and he there he finds this Reverend J. McCarter, who is running the Presbyterian mission to the Jews in Montreal. Do you see a thing developing?
Yeah.
McCarter is like, he's been doing this job his whole life. He's whatever you might think of that particular application. This is like a really old man who was actually kind of being taken advantage of by Trebitch. So initially he began as kind of an understudy, trying to get a job as an employee, and McCarter didn't have the funds, didn't have the budget to pay him, so we gave him a little stipend out of his own personal income.
Yeah.
And so Trebitch would often be seen in this period on street corners, talking in Hungarian, Jewish, Yiddish, German, English, to whoever passed, arguing with people, trying to bring in converts.
Can I pause you a second, Andy? Oh, no. Oh, fuck. Oh, no. Oh, there's police searching in the back court.
Oh.
I saw torches, and I've heard dogs. There's police in my back court. Good. Oh no.
That's a back court and like several neighbors' properties.
So there's one just outside the windows, which is our area where our washing goes out. Then there's another one. There's like a stupid ass fence, and another one. So it goes all the way down that way, and there's like 10 blocks. Like these are blocks of 6 flats. So there's like 120 households, and they've got like a team of police. And
maybe somebody's lost football.
Maybe.
Could be. So anyway, Trebitch was just a liar. He told McCarter that his father was a rabbi. He had a great career at Pressburg and Budapest universities. It says here, he also planted a story in US missionary magazine, The Glory of Israel. I don't think you need to plant stories in magazines like that, really, to plant anything. And alleging he spent 18 hours of every 24 in study. Like, I can't even stay awake for 18 hours, never mind study for that long. I'm hardcore. So yeah, this is about December 1900, and he gets shortly after he gets a scholarship at McGill University Presbytery College. Sort of a clerical sort of thing, but he then decides to send a telegram to to his wife, who is, or no, she's not his wife at this point. She's the one he's committed his life to, but she's back in Germany. So that's when she travels to Montreal to join him, and he gets married to her. He's paid $400 that year, and Reverend McCarter, after 40 years in the missionary, decides that he's going to retire. And the mission house is it's falling apart. The whole thing is going to go, and he's already he's paying a huge amount of money. The money that he is paying out as a stipend to Trebitch is going up and up, because now Margaret's in town, now their infant child's in town, and this old fella's feeling sorry for him, and he barely has enough to live on himself, but more and more is going out. And Trebitch thinking the Presbyterian mission aren't going to retain his services. He calls in his old contacts at the London Society for the Promotion of Jews Against Christianity. So, to try and summarize, you've got two organizations for the promotion of Jews against Christianity: the London Society and the Presbyterians. And he calls the London Society over to Montreal, sets up meetings with them. They send a whole delegation there to take over MacArthur's old thing. Meanwhile, he's also going into talks with MacArthur's bosses at the presbytery and trying to pitch them to keep them on, selling all the stories about Margaret and his infant son. Tells them he has prayed to God every night to clear away difficulties. He studied hard, that God has sent him signs that this is his work. So,
thou shalt not bear false witness. He's essentially lying there.
Yeah, and what's interesting?
I'm going to kiss everyone, by the way.
He has both these delegations kind of up in their offers to him. It's like a bidding war. You have the Archbishop of Montreal even gets into the melee.
Oh my God!
So eventually they all get sat around. The two factions and Trebitch and MacArthur get sat around a table and try and figure out an agreement where they can run this together. I'm trying to remember if they actually do, or if Trebitch burns one party or another. But you know who does get burned is MacArthur, because whatever pension he had coming is kind of reduced and siphoned off into relaunching the mission house and paying Trebitch a salary.
Bloody hell.
So, but eventually Ignaz Trebitch takes over this mission house. He brings his brother Joseph over. Joseph will pop up again and again. He's a bit of a wild card. Joseph moves into the mission house. And within about 6 months of having his new job, Trebitch decides he's bored of it, and he takes off to England, leaves his brother in the mission house, who goes around stealing all the light fittings, just ripping apart all the stuff in the mission house, selling it all off, trashing the place. I think he's also possibly left his wife and stepson there as well. So that did not end well. So what do you think happened next?
Right. Montreal. He comes back here, doesn't he? He comes back over to Britain. Oh my God, he runs for Parliament.
Not yet. We're not there yet. So he
Not there yet.
arrives in Appledore in Kent.
Oh, Kent.
He gets to, yeah. So we sleepy parish village, right? Now I don't know if he makes a direct route for that, probably not. But essentially, he carries on the religious angle. Probably big ups all his accomplishments in Montreal and Budapest. Um, he enters for the reverence exams. He fails. He doesn't get them, but he is given like a temporary placement in Appledore Parish while he resits these exams, and he becomes their reverend. So Reverend Ignat Trebitch. And here's a photo of him with his dog collar.
Oh, it's the
So
larger one.
he is about he's about 24, 25 at this point, which is quite young for a preacher man, really, I suppose.
Yeah.
So like he got he had because of his ability to charm and wriggle down, he had a meeting with the Archbishop of Canterbury at one point in order to stall his sitting in Appledore. And again, later his family moves over, his mother comes to visit, but he gets very bored again. He's got more children on the way. Margaret has about 6 boys herself over as well as the other child over her life. And I mean, if I remember rightly, Trebitch's interest in being the curate at Appledore, like he sticks out for a couple of years and he just gets bored because he gets bored very easily. And he likes arguing with people and laying down the law and such like. So, like any calm man, he's out looking for his next mark, and he starts riding the trains between Kent and London. And this is where he finds Seabourn Rowntree. So, for those of us in the UK, we know the Rowntree name as one of the major confectionery brands still. And Rowntree was of that family. Seabourn Rowntree has kind of my sympathy the most out of all Trebitch's marks. Despite being quite a rich man, he was like a philanthropist, an entrepreneur. He is most famous for coming up with the 1900 book and study on poverty, which gave us the poverty line, and it still appears in sociology textbooks. It set down. It was understood by the Liberal government of the day, and formed the basis or starting point for a lot of their social welfare of 1910
yeah.
Which in turn was
pensions, the better social funding, blah blah blah. Yeah. So, yeah, he was basically a major liberal back in the day. And yes, Rowntree.
Yeah, he seems to be, by all accounts, a good guy. He was a Quaker, kind of well known mostly for their fairly decent people, being fairly charitable. So Trebitch managed to slime his way into Rowntree's good books and got a job with him. Rowntree was preparing his sort of sequel to the poverty study, which was about land holdings in Europe. So Trebitch volunteered his services as a sort of like a land surveyor. Basically, he traveled all around Europe.
It's really cute.
Taking account of big land holdings, which were owned by individuals, by corporations, by governments. And essentially, he did so on kind of like a blank checkbook.
Oh.
Do you remember much about this time, Katie?
A little bit. So, oh God, yeah. Was it a loan or was he just given money? I think it was a loan that he got from Roundtree, wasn't it? So, my mind's went blank. This is not good. Sorry, Andy.
We'll get to the well-known stuff later.
Yeah.
The MP stuff, but yes, Roundtree essentially, because it was work, it was expensive. Like Roundtree was very passionate about his subject. This is something again he saw as a socially progressive entrepreneurialism. But also, that blank checkbook for expenses was not enough for Trebitch in his mind. So he kept asking for loans. And this is a bit of a pattern between Trebitch and Roundtree. But during his travels, he made a real pain in the arse out of himself, traveling around the various consulates and embassies in Europe. So, I mean, he had the backing of Roundtree, who was like a very well-respected figure. And this was kind of like a sort of like a psychic paper as well. It's kind of like an entry pass. Whenever he called at various embassies, like so, for example, he called with C.H. Putsch, the British Vice Consul in Copenhagen, who complained that Trebitch had borrowed a number of books for him, which he insisted were really important on his study. Despite Putsch saying there was only one copy of these books and they had to be returned, and he never did return them. He offered to type the whole thing out for Putsch. That never appeared. He'd send him the money to get another copy. That never appeared. Whenever he badgered Captain Sinclair, who at the time was the Secretary of State for Scotland, into giving him.
Oh, right. Yes.
Do you know Sinclair?
I recognise the name. The best person to ask is currently in his bed. So he like that's his area of interest. Expertise, fuck it. He's read enough of that period, like lots of historical books and historical fiction about it. He'd probably know most of the Scottish movers and shakers, or like soldiers and other sorts of interesting people from like the 1700s or the mid 1700s onwards, because Jacobites and fucking Union of the blah 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 from that period onwards. He'd probably know about him. I keep on meaning to pick his brain more before I do these live streams. I really should.
Yeah.
Good point, Jacqueline.
We could probably cut out a good chat too, but we had it's just so much. So I mean, this was with Captain Sinclair. This was Roundtree's name not being enough for Trebitch in his head, and he constantly bugged the Foreign Office for. So 27th of July 1906, I got that he was asked to call tomorrow for letters of introduction to Berlin, Munich, Dresden, Stuttgart, and other places in German Empire where we have accredited representations. he would insist that these had to be like, I have to leave for London tomorrow evening, so these have to arrive. And he was very impatient, very, very frantic kind of figure.
Yeah.
And
He
and
can't, he
so
can't stand still for too long.
it's,
No,
it's,
I know.
it's hard, completely impatient. Um, I mean, so just bugging embassies all over Europe, including London itself. The standout one is Sir Francis Burdey, who was the British ambassador to Paris, also known as a Beagle. And he was like a very sort of strutting peacock kind of figure, really full of his self-importance. So Trebitch and him just, I guess, quite alike, just utterly butted heads. Um, Trebitch wrote him quite an offensive letter that made its way back to uh, William Tyrrell, the private secretary, to the foreign secretary, who was William Edward Grey. Yeah.
Edward Grey, yeah. Viscount Grey of Falodon.
He was wanting official publications equaling to the tune of 2,000 francs. There was like this whole. So wherever he went, people were like, either he was writing letters demanding things, this whole flurry, and then on the other end, you could flurry of letters from various ambassadors, from various ministers, when the foreign office complaining about him. It got really difficult. And then I believe is when we come to 1909, the path to Lincoln MP. He's not actually, I should mention, he chose the name Lincoln about this time. Or actually, no, it was in the late 1890s, maybe 1900, after the American president.
Yeah.
But it was about in his run for where he actually chose another name, which was the English sounding Timothy. So Ignatz Timothy Trebitch Lincoln, ITT Lincoln. And he returned to see Mr. Rowntree to sponsor his run for Parliament. And they found a seat in Darlington, as Resi had said there. It was a bit of a Quaker family stronghold, but it had a Tory MP called Pike Peace, who had been there for many, many years.
Yeah.
And Trebitch wasn't actually a naturalized British citizen at this point. So
He wasn't.
those papers came in I'm not sure, like a ridiculously, say within 6 months before the election. It was like really, really a short time. Yeah, the election was actually the election was January 1910, I think. And his papers came in May 1909. A month after he was adopted as a candidate for Darlington. And of course, he was set upon for like being under the employ of Rowntree, the cocoa magnate, as Rowntree was called. I guess that's the thing with having loads of money. No matter how much you do, you can't really shrug that off unless you give all your money away. Jacqueline writes, the stream keeps freezing. Not sure if the issue is on my end or yours. We're having no problems here. if anybody else would like to weigh in and give us an alibi, I'm going to take a quick pee break. So I'll leave you a moment. I'll be right back.
Thank you. I can't remember if that was you earlier, Supermod, Shanna, darling. It's not a mimic. It's the luggage. But we believe he was inspired by mimics. The Monster Manual didn't exist then. So yeah, it's the luggage. For more than that, read the first 2 books in the Discworld series. They are Rincewind books. The Colour of Magic and the Light Fantastic. Andy gave me a nice little giggle earlier on before we went live. He is currently reading Going Postal, which the main protagonist is called Moist von Lipwig, and he noticed that he is similar to this chameleon we are discussing tonight, and I am staying stum because that is one of my favourite books. I'm not going to give anything away. I want Andy to find out everything about Moist.
I'm only 40 pages in. Yeah. Yeah. I'm enjoying it. Very interesting. What is veterinary? No idea. But hey, he's a deep one, veterinary. Yeah.
What is he ever up to? Watching.
So, Reza, is this? I'm just highlighting your comment because I think you're referring to Trebitch here. I hadn't heard that, but I'm picking up you have done a bit of Trebitch research yourself. So, yeah. He was mocked, of course, for his accent in the press, in the political circles.
My side of Gobi. There's things, but you might notice me going like that and saying fuck off and shit like that because so the early form of some of the critters you see roaming around your house, usually around your skirting boards, when they first appear, they have vestigial wings and they fly around finding the best places to land and eat or land on food, blah, 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 blah. So I'm swatting at them. That's why our spray doesn't fucking work in them because it's the wrong formula. So I'll just go like that every so often and kind of swear under my breath.
Even as he was doing this, we still got the land thing hanging over him. And I think this one's quite interesting. British consul Esme Hard in Budapest wrote to the Foreign Office complaining, "Who have you sent me? Is he quite serious?" I think this story is so full of great quotes like that. So he moved into Parkview in Darlington. I'm not sure it's called that anymore, even if the house is still there. He moved the whole family over. I honestly lose track of where he abandons his family, because he wouldn't have been running around Europe with him.
No.
Probably met times. He's over in Belgrade proposing the opening of an Anglo-Serbian bank with a capital of 40,000. And the minister tells the Foreign Office it's not happening, but the Serbian government are prepared to accord him all the facilities needed. But essentially, so he's running for MP in Darlington, and he's waving about all these letters of introduction that he's gained from being Roundtree's land surveyor. And Roundtree's name buys, it's connections. So he gets in.
It does have power behind it. Yeah, it does have power behind it, obviously, because the great man of the period, essentially.
So I think it was Herbert Samuel who was interested in him, joined him on the hustings. His brother was a banker that Trebitch pissed off. We talked about Herbert Samuel in the Marconi scandal, didn't we? He was one of the people who
Yeah,
bought the shares. Yeah.
yeah. My God,
Um,
they're all connected.
I've got a few triggers for you, Katie, that you might remember from that time. He had a letter from David Lloyd George, which he had framed.
Oh dear God.
Winston Churchill sends support, wishing him success in the fine fight you're making for free trade, land reform, and popular government. So it was kind of unusual because the so Pike Pace Satori had held this seat for like absolutely ages. And the Liberals, so Trebitch was standing with the Liberal Party. They didn't do so well around the country, but Trebitch, he got he had a narrow majority, 29, so 815 votes to Pike Pace's. Sorry, do all that again. 4,815 votes, Peace 4,786 votes. That said, he went out that night on a triumphal procession around the neighbouring towns of Stockton and Thirsk, where there were some various riots. There was anti-Semitism. They really sort of picked on him for being a cocoa magnate's puppet. Edward Grey, who didn't like him before that, was in, sort of backed him. And then before he even sat in Parliament, there was another trip to Budapest to try and form an Austro-Hungarian bank. Given lectures on British politics. In Hungary, he caused a diplomatic gaffe by criticizing internal Hungarian politics. So
that would usually get someone unalived. I would have assumed back then. Good thing that bank never got set up, because in a few years, the Austro-Hungarian Empire doesn't exist. For more than that, look at the fallout of First World War. It's fun.
So I've got lots of photos there. There's young Trebitch and Sebum Roundtree beneath him. Dan, welcome in. Put up your feet. There's a Pike Peace election poster. A couple of Trebitch ones that are probably that's way too small. I can't even make it out there. Put it there, Lincoln.
Yeah.
And look how small Peace's name is. Not. Don't want to accidentally advertise it. I got to get a second copy of this if I'm to go through this again. Oh, hold on. I can do this one in big blue. This is him about the time he was an MP. So, like, just compare that a moment to him as a curate. So he did sort of kind of change his look quite a bit. Probably most of it there is to do with weight, but we'll see this sort of physical transformation happening a lot in his lifetime. Let's see if there's any in this. there's his little parish in Appledore, and there's a photo
Oh,
below the Darlington Liberal Association. And then we have you probably find this online, a cartoon from Punch.
yeah. I found that one. I've
So
got it on my hard drive now. My new one.
he stood up in the Commons. He was making. Yeah, here we go. So he had his maiden speech in the Commons, 23rd of February 1910. And a week later, he intervened on a debate on the temporary borrowing bill. And the speaker told him off because what he was talking about was completely irrelevant. And this is how we get that Punch cartoon, which I can't actually read at the moment because it's so tiny. No, I need a magnifying glass. But it's we will do this and we will do that and other stuff.
I shall return. I shall return.
Cool.
I'm still here.
I'm gonna, I'll talk on a bit, but a bit slower, and just kind of pace myself a bit. So we get him. I mean, he doesn't really do an awful lot as an MP. He maybe speaks in the Commons, like probably at about a Nigel Farage pace of 3 or 4 times during the year. That's probably more than Nigel Farage. Now I come to think about it. That was Thirsk Omaha. That's the correct spelling to it. Somewhere I'm not familiar with. Yeah, oh God, I'd love a smoke tonight. I'd love a roll up if I get a chance. I'm pretty sure Reza is talking about the mimic of the Geordie Northeast accent to play in, or is that Luke Akehurst? A couple of Burks. It's funny that one more tab, one little Google shouldn't really hurt. Jerry, delighted you could join us. Thank you for the follow on Blue Sky and on the on mine and on the Discworld GNU account. You can see I'm sporting the luggage tonight. Send them all to Mars forever. Yes, indeedy. I'm on the Iron Brew tonight. So, if you happen to tune into one of our first Victorian villainy streams on, what's his name? Jabez Balfour, who built, or if you've been to London and seen it or seen pictures, or you know the Liberal Party, the National Liberal Club in Whitehall is a very central location in Westminster. It sits at the corner of 2 streets and essentially is the building on those 2 streets. Liberal Party social club with subsidized drink and food. It's kind of opulent. I was very fortunate enough to have actually been in it. And I guess majorly opulent. My friend and I went exploring bathrooms, and I can't remember seeing if it was a male or a female bathroom. So I we sort of listened at the door and we didn't hear anybody. So we peered in and we saw a cubicle. So I let her go in first and check if there was anybody around. And there were hand basins all around the room. There were 28 hand basins, The place was enormous. We had a bite of subsidized food in this big room with opulent pillars and stuff. We had quite nice Guinness actually by the fire with a copy of Private Eye. So we know these scum read Private Eye. You know, they can't feign ignorance, right? They've got a sub coming in there. So anyway, very opulent place, and Trebitch kind of moved in there when he got elected. I mean, not informally, it became a bit of a favorite spot for him just to go in and hang out, and presumably it appealed to his want to grift people. Well, actually, it did appeal to his want to grift people, to make social connections, to kind of see and be seen, that whole social thing. And again, if you've checked out our other Victorian villainy live streams, there's a couple of other people who would have been in there about that time of note. So Horatio Bottomley, the war fraudster, would have been an MP that year and would have been hanging out in there. I wonder if Monty Gregory, Monty Gregory possibly would have been in there. So at the time, Monty was running Lloyd George's spin doctor, responsible for honours brokerage. So at the time, Monty was running a Puff magazine called Town and Topics, where he would take money from MPs to write wonderful things about them, to commission cartoonists to do caricatures about them, just generally give them a spin job, which sounds quite dirty and probably was. So he would have got in there and he would have been making connections and touting for business, just like Trebitch Lincoln. Yeah. Well, take it easy on my voice. Katie should be back soon. This is her favorite bit too. Come on, Katie. This is your favorite bit. Oh, she's done something new to the hair. No, it just looks really good. Okay.
Yeah.
So around this time, you've got the Austrian government even get in touch with Sir Edward Grey, and talk about Trebitch's background as a petty watch thief, which probably stirs up a few rumours in the National Liberal Club. I was just talking to people how he was kind of hanging out in the Liberal Club.
Yeah, I was listening.
Is there anything you want to say about I mean, I don't have a lot on his time as an MP. Like we could move on to his downfall as an MP and the downfall.
The thing that I would have loved to have known is if he actually, well, maybe not conspired, or at least interacted with Bottomley. That would have been fun to find out. Obviously, they were moving in the same sort of circles, essentially.
Yeah, well, but I think Bottomley was an MP at that time, so yeah. Wasn't he a Liberal MP? Possibly. Yeah, so if the National Liberal Club can let like a working class waster like me in, they'll certainly have let in a sucker like Bottomley or Mondy. You also would have had Victor Grayson would have been in there, who was I think even was a Labour MP. Who there was a whole. You'd remember his name from the Monty Gregory stream. So Victor Grayson's was a sad case. He went missing, presumed murdered, and
Presumed dead. Yes.
links to Mondi. Now, I mean, it was just also like a complete disappearance. So he might have just went off somewhere for quiet life. It might have been unconnected to Mondi Gregory. Yeah, so I think it was because of Lloyd George's People's Budget, 1909, that to pass that through the Lords and the Commons, there had to be 2 elections in 1910. The second one being in December. So Trebitch stood again, and about a week before, and Pike Peace stood opposite him, and presumably he was still touting the whole, like, he got up to some, do you remember the stuff about dogs? Katie?
It's ringing a bell, but I can't quite place it.
He told people that if the Tories got elected in Darlington, they would have the people of Darlington eating dogs.
Oh yeah. I wonder if that's where Trump got it from.
Gonna see him, yeah. This
basically that's it was considered anti-Semitic slander, apparently.
Well, I guess he turned that around. There's all sorts of mounting pressures because he's borrowing money from everybody in the Liberal Club, and he about a week before so he's standing again against Pike Peace, and about a week before the election, he pulls out. He decides he's not interested, and I think part of that had to be that MPs weren't getting paid in those days, or were only getting paid a minimum income. You couldn't make a living as an MP.
It was basically something slightly more than a stipend, essentially. Yeah, that's why the House of Commons and the House of Lords were filled with the rich bastards. It wasn't until, was it after the war or just before it or during it? So they actually get a wage after the Second World War, essentially. That's when that starts to change. They actually get an actual pay for being MPs. Yeah, no, there was mostly, don't get me wrong, there was working class people who got in after the first, but it was slightly more than a stipend, but not as much as they get paid now. It was actually instituted after the war. Read your history, everyone. So yeah, and that's how they get paid over 93,000 now, and they vote for their own pay increases. That was actually put into the legislation back then, that they could decide it themselves. Fun.
Yeah,
yeah.
They were getting paid a salary, but not that. I mean, no, they shouldn't have the powers to decide that themselves. But I guess
oh, sorry. I should have said it's an independent pay group that decides the pay, but the vast majority of it is that's set on it. Guess what? MPs and a couple of lords. Boo. You get 360 quid a day for going in.
Second election of 1910. Trebitch pulls out a week before the Liberal Party lose the election. The guy who replaces Trebitch at short notice blames him. Pike Peace is reinstalled and sits at Darlington for a bit longer. A month later, Trebitch, by a month later, Trebitch had a meeting at Station Hotel in York with his creditors because he had now declared himself bankrupt. So I don't know if this means anything off the bat. Paid his creditors compensation for the tune of 5 shillings in the pound. So C-bomb
it's not that much.
Not much, no.
No.
Roundtree was among them. A financier named John Goldstein would be involved. So, I mean, despite being kicked out of the Commons, Trebitch still kind of hung out in the Liberal Club. He made a few trips. He had another son born a couple of months later. They moved into a new home in Watford, a large house with 14 rooms. And he began to get interested in the oil bubble. So there was a time, the Times carried a special article called "The Virgin Oil Fields of Galicia." Galicia, part of Austria.
Yeah.
And he also got involved in oil fields and companies controlling them in Romania. And so he courted the press. He got a lot of like well-moneyed figures involved. So I've got this list. A guy called William Sinclair, chairman, Norfolk banker, a member of Lloyd's, Viennese oilman, Prince Radziwill, maybe one either the Romanian or Hungarian prince, Prince August Lobkowitz. So two princes on the boards. Managing director Hottermans, I think, was possibly another banker. You got his nephew Alex Krauss involved, who was a bit of a recurring figure in Trebitch's schemes. A German in London called Charles Weingart, financier John Goldstein, who will become a bit more prominent. So essentially, you had like a number of interlocking companies managing these oil fields. You had Viennese banking firms involved, but the oil fields were beginning to dry up. There were various problems with this. With the oil drying up. So Trebitch did the same thing he did with the Montreal mission. He decided to get all these different companies to amalgamate and sit at the same table with him. Get the Braganza line, for example, to sell their stocks and shares to another company to amalgamate. He ended up owning 7 of these companies.
I just wanted to add there, if you actually did a little bit more exploring, the real oil fields were in the Caucasus, which will feature heavily in the Second World War, oddly enough. So that's where the main reserves of oil were, in the east, essentially. So, but they thought they thought they could track the deposits. Bit of a dark art back then. Obviously, we've got better technology now to actually see where all the major oil reserves are on the planet. And I want them left where they are.
His Austrian Galician line was basically folding. There was no more oil left.
Yeah. It was basically it was a dead basin. Yeah, it was a dead basin. And it depends how you tap into it as well.
Sorry, say again?
It depends on what way they tap into it, what angle they go at, and what sort of extraction method, because there's 2 or 3 different ones you can do.
I mean,
you can thank my uncle for educating me with that.
The Romanian one was doing a bit better for a while, and he was recruiting retired admirals to sit on the board, a solicitor, Count Michael Calamachi. They had an office in Finsbury Court managing this. Shares underwritten by Lincoln & Co. Small investors took up tiny lots, barely 15,000 of the hoped for 100,000. It was floated at. And all this while he was traveling between Romania and London. He had his family in another home in Bucharest, 5 star near the Royal Palace. And he was still, whenever he was in London, he was in the Liberal Club, and he was cabling Roundtree for money, like constantly. And John Goldstein, this financier, he was also asking for the loan of money off him. I mean, at one point, Goldstein was sending him 500, 600 pounds every week, and he would play the sob story of my poor wife, my poor children. How can I feed them? What really put a kibosh, just when he was claiming things were going to turn around on the Romanian front, was the Second Balkan War broke out, right on top of his oil production. And to cut a long story short, he essentially went in and started like asset stripping, like selling whatever parts of the company were left. And I have here, I mean, the company were granted a mortgage of 25,000 by Ladenburg's bankers. He had, for machinery that was supplied to him, he owed creditors £38,796. It was a lot more back then than it was today. But the total obligation was £151,430. Their bank account had £32 in it.
Fuck no.
So I mean, this is this sort of wild abandon that you kind of associate with Lincoln. So he returns to London in 1914, and he's still applying to Goldstein for friendly loans. He borrows off a number of other people. Both Roundtree's asking for like letters of confirmation, asking Goldstein to back a tour at this point, because he's been robbed blind. He's been robbed blind again. By the same token, Goldstein is asking Roundtree for these loans to be underwritten for like guarantor letters. But these letters are going through Trebitch, and then neither Goldstein's letters or Roundtree's letters reach one another. Meanwhile, Trebitch is also sticking his hands in. Can you remember more this Trebitch thing, just to see if I can sneak off to the window for a smoke while we talk? Can you remember more of his adventures in the National Liberal Club?
I can't. No, sorry.
So he's sticking his hands in votes of members in the National Liberal Club.
Oh yeah.
Their pockets. He's probably a bit of watch thievery again. He is asking other members for loans if he's not robbing them blind. He's when Goldstein and Roundtree try to reach out each other directly to talk about these loans, Trebitch, the mail comes in through the National Liberal Club. Trebitch goes into their mailboxes, robs the mail, and makes sure they don't see it. And then to compound that, with these stolen letters, he is forging letters between them to tell them, oh, everything's hunky-dory. So yeah, and
Andy,
I mean,
we have a Davy. We have a Davy.
David McGuinness, welcome, and also Thijman Vanderberg 5348. Welcome.
Simon.
It's me corrected
wait.
on pronunciation. He's not well thought. I mean, he's kind of being out of the Liberal Club when the First World War breaks out. And he gets a new job in Mount Pleasant sorting office. I think that's London, quite possibly.
It is, yes.
Essentially, his job, it's a sorting office. So he's checking the mail. Maybe some of his job involves like monitoring it because wartime communications, right?
Yeah.
He takes it a little too far. He starts destroying mail, writing on letters. He gets suspended from his job, and then decides to quit anyway.
I'll add an addendum here. So technically, it's the monarch's mail. So if you're seen to either destroy, disrupt, divert, you can get done for that, and you can get locked up in the clink. Because technically, until it comes through your door, it's the monarch's mail. So at this point, it's the king. It's Queen Elizabeth's dad, or the current king's granddad, who's no. Hang on. What year are we in?
1914. So king.
The king's granddad. King's great granddad. So the queen's granddad. Uncle. Hang on.
King Granda? The Queen Mother, King Granda.
So I point. So it got Elizabeth. Then her dad took over after the abdication crisis in 20 years' time. Well, 22 years' time after this. So before that, it would have been the Queen's granddad. So it would have been Sausage Finger's great granddad at this point in the mid 1910s.
Well,
monarchy is stupid as fuck.
He was very haughty and naughty. He would get easily offended. The slightest aggravation, he would double down on someone. So you could probably say he was going postal. Another Terry Pratchett reference there. Good, well, yes. Yeah. Can you start us off on his next job?
Remind me, please. I'm getting closer to the stuff.
His next attempt, shall we say?
So we're 90. Too early for the Kapp Putsch.
Blue, is MI5 or the War Office?
Oh my God! He was sent to spy on the Germans.
Oh, I've got a really good quote for this one. You talk me up to it.
So he was employed by the British state to go and spy on the German.
Bit conspiracy theorist, that one. You know, actually, while we're talking, so
you brought it up in your video.
I might have done. So I might have sent Katie a document with, when I do my research on Trebitch, I comb a lot of sources. And because Trebitch's story is so wild, and because he's also a liar of great note,
Yeah.
there's a lot of fictions that creep in, and one of them was that he was employed by the British state as a spy, and that's
Also,
definitely a lie that Trebitch put out at one state. Actually,
so
we'll
let's
come to that because
so
the lie is part of the story, a very big part.
So we're literally in citation needed territory for that one.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
So he so he called into the War Office with a Kapp. Decided he would. Oh, actually, I'm just noticing. John Goldstein, the financier we're talking about, had notified Scotland Yard about all this fraud. It was going on this missing money. So Trebitch was already on the cops' radar. Days after that happened, after Goldstein reported him, he walked into the War Office and decided to audition as a spy. And this is a really good quote from Captain Kenny's document. I love this. He hoped to, so he wanted to spy on the Germans. He hoped to feed them snippets of information about British fleet movements. By this means, he would lure the entire German fleet out into positions in the North Sea, positions he would communicate to the British. As a result, the Royal Navy would lie in wait, ambush, and destroy them. The consequent complete British mastery of the seas would bring about a swift British victory. He would make the most important contribution by satisfying denouement. That's in the War Office files. And I don't know if this is a quote from like the files or one that I have fabricated myself. I think actually this is a genuine quote in Kenny's records. He said, perhaps the War Office might allow you to go to Rotterdam to find out how much cocoa was imported from Holland to Germany. Trebitch didn't see the funny side of this. He was sent packing. But he was not to be thwarted because Trebitch had a cunning plan to get this job as a spy. He would go to Rotterdam and he would appear at the German embassy there, where he talked to the consulate, Karl Neist, who I believe Neist came up in the 30s in the Nazi regime. But he had Neist gave him a tryout. He wasn't really convinced, but he gave him kind of like a sort of like a practice sheet, like of codes. It was like a, it wasn't serious. It was just like a, I guess a good analogy would be a children's, like, like you've got a kitchen and then you've got a children's plastic kitchen, or something like that. So there was no security. Neist was compromising and giving them this code. And the boat called into London and said he had breaking information. And back to Kenny and said, look, I've got this data. I've got this data. The Germans have trusted me. I'm your double agent already. So Kenny referred the matter to the director of naval intelligence, a guy called Reginald Hall. We've talked about briefly before. Reginald Hall, because he blinked incessantly, a big sort of balding man with mad blinks. And Hall called Trebitch in for a meeting, and that meeting did not go well. Hall had become aware of Goldstein's report to the cops and Kenny's notes, of course. And he told him he was being watched and he was not to try leaving the country or doing anything foolish because they would scoop him up. So, didn't get the job.
Yeah.
He
tried though.
He tried.
He did try.
So, and I mean, from that meeting, Trebitch often made enemies. No surprise.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes those enemies were more. They were more enemies to him, and in this case, Blinker Hall. Blinker Hall probably didn't think much about him at all. He didn't occupy his thoughts much, but Trebitch was obsessed with the man. So he was getting very paranoid. Go ahead.
I was just going to say. Oh no, I was just going to say.
I'll bring it in, Katie, anytime.
Yeah, the way he's operating at this point. Yeah, they're after me. They are after me. I know they're after me. So it's not paranoia if you think they are after you. In some cases, they literally were, and sometimes they weren't. So half paranoid, maybe. Citation needed. I would have loved to have talked to this man. He sounds fascinating and completely fucking duplicitous.
I think he loved the sound of his own voice quite a bit.
Did he? Right.
I loved an argument. Unless, he was proved to be superior or believed he was being told he was superior. He had massive ego. So with this paranoia about people watching him, and honestly, I don't think the War Office or MI5 really did. They weren't watching his house or anything. They were, if this thing popped up again, they'd probably be alert.
They had bigger fish to fry at that point. Really, there was a lot going on.
Wherever it was that the family were last at, I can't quite remember. What, London or wherever. Trebitch left the family home at about 6 a.m. And on a boat to. While on the boat, he met a married woman named Anna John. I can't remember if she was traveling alone or with her husband, but the two of them had an affair, which possibly started on the boat. He was introduced to her husband, who she told him, he'd been really helpful, and they formed a bit of a unit along with Anna's sister Olive, who Trebitch also slept with on several occasions. All this, anything about this, he was a bit of a victim in all this as well. Because it's in New York where things start to get even more big, visible, and
I just wanted to pause you for a second and let everyone know. Oh God, it's nearly finished, but I'll give it anyway. France 3, England 5.
Shit! Wow.
I think that's got to be one of the most goal-filled games in the whole tournament. This is mental.
Where are we on? Is this the
third place playoff? Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
So the finals tomorrow against Spain and Argentina. I'm saying Spain because it's Spain. Don't get me wrong, Argentina have played fairly well. Fairly. Scheme signs, just going on the goals alone. Who's the goal scorers anyway? Give me a minute.
Back in Britain,
Saka. Saka's got a fucking hat-trick.
Back in Britain, Captain Hall had sent instructions to all ports that criminal charges were pending and that Trebitch should be blocked from leaving the country. He had already absconded by then. He telegraphed Rotterdam, thinking he'd probably head there. So here's his telegraph. Age 36, looks older. Height 5 feet 9 inches. Stout, hair black, bald on top of head. Eyes black, ears large, fresh complexion, wears eyeglasses, Jewish appearance, very excitable. He initially lodged with his brother Harry, who was living in New York at the time. Harry, we'll come back to Harry because it's kind of a sad story. He called into the German embassy where Franz von Papen, another famous Nazi of later, was the consulate, and he wanted nothing to do with Trebitch at this point.
I'll just pause you for a second there. I need to say something. Franz von Papen can suck it.
Yup.
Thank you, von Papen, you fucking idiot. Or self-interested. He's one of the main reasons that we get some Austrian in charge, by the way, everyone. Von Papen can fuck off, essentially. And he survives the fucking war, by the way.
Oh.
Yeah, he doesn't die until the 60s. Franz von Papen is a bastard. Don't trust a liberal, they will betray you. And that's basically one of the main instances of that happening with von Papen. He thought he could control him.
A couple of photos from Darlington. There's him, some of his constituents. There's Admiral Blinker Hall.
There he's there.
This is Trebitch above him.
Bold.
And there's a big shot of this. So this is Trebitch about the time he was in New York, 1915, 1916. So you have May 23rd, 1950 kicks off here, because you get the first of two magazines. I'll cover and hope I can read it back to you. Revelations of ITT Lincoln, former member of who became a German. There's a Punch cartoon from earlier at the bottom.
Yeah, you can see it.
And so this was his whole. He walked into got front page, feature focus. I'm a spy. I'm a famous spy. I've outwitted the British. I've outwitted Germans. I knew what I was doing was technically high treason, but my blood was boiling in me at all the calculated barbarities inflicted by a haughty, perfidious race upon innocent people. I think that's the British. Blinker Hall got singled out for special treatment in these articles. There was and of course Britain became aware of this sort of new sensation, this front page news. However, there was only so much they could do, because similar to Jabez Balfour, there were no when he went to Argentina, there were no extradition proceeding relationship between Britain and America that would have brought Trebitch Lincoln back. They
don't start getting fully formalized until after the after the First World War, essentially, the actual extradition treaties. They're basically codified between like 1919 and the early 1920s, essentially. And they keep on getting renewed, getting changed over the decades. Over the last century, they've been basically changed over. They were weighted more in our favour back up until about the early 50s. Then the balance of power started shift to the Americans. They've got more rights now over us with extradition. That's why we capitulate to them and send people over to the States. The extradition treaties are not weighted fairly. And don't get me wrong, I don't like the British state. They're bastards. But yeah, it's weighted more in the Americans' favour than it is for us. Like if we apply to get people from America now, yeah, we have to basically try someone in absentia with not all the evidence because the evidence is still sitting over in America. Make it make sense, please. Thank you. So back then we had actually more rights for trying to extract people from the States. That's changed now.
Back in London, this was seen as like a tremendous propaganda coup for Germany, and it did get Admiral Hall's attention. So he contacted the British consul in Manhattan, and although didn't have these proceedings, they decided to bring in the Pinkertons detective agency to track Trebitch down. And so late May, the articles went out, and on the 4th of August, Trebitch was arrested. In court, he tells them he's a German spy. He's charged with fraud.
Yep.
Because really, that is the charge. That is the charge he's guilty of. He is remanded. He denied he was guilty of fraud because that would undercut the story. And he was remanded without bail pending the British extradition documents. He was detained in Raymond Street Jail in Brooklyn. And you had Chief Inspector Ward of Scotland Yard sent 2 officers over to take him home. I think Ward came up as well in one of our previous things. Ward was one of the Scotland Yard detectives who was on the trail of Jack the Ripper.
Yeah.
Might have been on the trail of Jabez Balfour as well. Yeah.
I was just going to say, he came up in our Balfour one as well. You got mentioned there.
Ward met with Judge Veter, who was the judge handling Trebitch's case. And Veter had already been charmed, had his pants charmed off by Trebitch. And he told Ward that I don't know why you want him so badly. Considering the strange danger in London from Zeppelins, surely you're all much safer in England. And I think Trebitch, somehow Veter got it into his head that London's practically destroyed by an air raid, and he hinted at pro-German views. And Ward went back and he found a telegram waiting from Trebitch, who was behind bars. Scotland Yard detectives, after months fruitless waiting, returned today without me. Cannot British government find other uses for public funds than vindictive persecution of me? It was addressed to Sir Edward Grey, but officials didn't forward it to the Foreign Secretary, perhaps out of concern for peace of mind. His delicate nature. Trebitch had it during the whole ambassadorial nonsense. Trebitch driven him to breaking point. Couldn't happen to a nicer man. In November, Judge Chatfield is on the case. When it's back in court, he dismisses a writ of habeas corpus. Another appeal is mounted. And that's kind of, while incarcerated in presumably Raymond Street in Brooklyn still, Trebitch begins to court the FBI, throwing around his status as a spy. Citation
Aye.
needed. Citation
Very,
needed.
very much needed. Yes.
Whole Wikipedia edit, pages and pages of arguments.
Yeah, I went and checked it out earlier on today or yesterday now, just what the actual fuck. The entry for this period in his life is just there's a little, like, it's obviously in blue, and you can put in citation if you have it. If you have it. Good luck trying to find citation for half this shit.
So Agent Benham comes and visits him in jail, and he gives him his pitch. He says he writes him memos to follow. Because this is a guy who can't send a tweet, who will have to send you an essay. He writes that he's willing to start work at once on decoding German cables, if granted sufficient facilities to do so. I do not want to escape. I want to regain my liberty by proper steps. So Benham talks to yeah. Pause for laughter.
The fact that the fact that he keeps on trying to escape and evade justice. Yeah. You want to go and defend yourself and prove your innocence and all that. Yeah. I'm not believing you, Trebitch. Honestly, I'm not.
Agent Benham gets on to the naval attaché in Washington, and he's interested, but he promises to send. So he cables London to double check. The Admiralty, I guess this is Hall, gets back to him a few days later that his offer should be promptly and firmly declined, with a few blinks for good measure. Irregardless, Trebitch is still pitching the FBI. There is a confirmation code, a code within a code. He should have it within a day or two. And so by mid-December, he's kind of worn the FBI down, and they've got him on a day release to work at the Federal Building in Brooklyn. And they're also extending to him some nights out at a restaurant where he's accompanied by federal agents. And who should show up along with these various federal agents? One of them, Deputy Marshal George Proctor, Annie Junt from the affairs on the boat, Anna Fleisch, who was Annie Junt's husband, was a barber, and one of the guys he worked with had this daughter, Anna Fleisch, and presumably Trebitch was having affairs with her too. She was out with the restaurant with the FBI agents 3 or 4 or 5 times in December. At one point, Judge Vader from the initial court case arrived at the Clarendon Hotel in Brooklyn and was astonished to see Trebitch Lincoln with a party, including women, having a very gay old time. So, I Scoopy.
Full time.
5-2, was that?
4-6 in England.
Wow, that's a lot of goals.
That's 10 fucking goals. That is mad. I will need to see the highlights now. Fucking hell. For everyone's posterity, I'll read them out. Declan Rice, 3 minutes. It was actually logged as 2 earlier on. Then Konsa, 18 minutes. Then Saka, 37 minutes. Bappy, 48. Fucking hell, Saka got 37 minutes, 45, just before half time, he scored again. Oh, Saka got a hat trick, by the way, everyone. Bellingham got on the scorecard. 90 plus 8, so deep into injury time. Dembele got one, 90 plus 6. Well done, Saka, on getting a hat trick. So France 4, England 6. That is mental.
Sorry, I'm just noticing my microphone was halfway across the room. I hope you can all hear me there.
Yeah, we can hear you.
So Trebitch is supposed to be working with these facilities. He would go out and day release. Presumably he'd spend the night in the jail. But for most of the day, for the evening, he'd be out in a restaurant under guard. During the day, he would be out at FBI facilities in Brooklyn. And he would be claiming to be decoding German signals. And he was stringing them along. Of course, NICE never gave him any codes. So 16th of December to Benham, had discovered key to code, half a day. 18th of December, mastered, mechanical work remains. 20th of December, excellent progress, will finish today. 21st of December, needs service of expert accountant to assist for an hour or two. 15th of January, within an ace of a final solution. Of course, there's another little I should probably pause for comedic laughter. There's another little subplot working at the back of this. So since Trebitch, it's been about 9 months since Trebitch told the New York World that he was a famous international spy. And that has led to Trebitch writing a book, which presumably he's been working on in a cell, probably more likely when he was supposed to be working for the FBI. And this book is called Revelations of an International Spy, published in New York. And it's full of self-glorification, obsessional perversion of the truth. He talks about Roundtree as an unwitting funder of his espionage schemes, how he wasted his funding spinning webs of intrigue in chancelleries of Europe. And this is due to go out on 21st of January 1915. On the 15th of January 1915, Trebitch goes to a restaurant with a young man, Deputy Marshal Francis Johnson, and climbs out the bathroom window to freedom 6 days before his book's published, which is probably the best advert for a book about a spy. The book sells...
Escaping out of bathroom window, yeah.
The book sells out on its first edition, 4,500 copies. It's not reprinted. I can't remember if I've actually read a copy or if there's one available on the internet anywhere.
DM it to me. DM it to me. I'll take a look. I've got time on my hands. I can take it. I can try and find. There's used book sites that I go on to find ones to fill in our gaps. I find it there.
There's a few of Trebitch's writings available online, books, pamphlets he put out. And we'll probably talk about them some more about the next episode.
That one you've broke. What's it? Is that Wasserstein?
The Secret Lives of Trebitch Lincoln by Wasserstein. Yeah, it's brilliant.
Should be able to get that on Amazon.
Yeah, it's widely printed, and as I said, it's a definitive work on Trebitch. Excuse me. So he's being reported all over America. As part of America, he's being reported. The Foreign Samuel was like to ban his book in Britain. He's And this deputy marshal, this young deputy marshal who Trebitch escaped under, actually holds off for 2 days before reporting it because he's frightened of what's going to happen to him. So that gives him a bit more of a head start. And it's kind of funny because every so often he will pop up in different places. So, for example, 19th, 20th of January. So the book's published on the 21st, so it's 1 day before release date. He walks into the offices of the New York American, explains the reasons his enemies are free because he is one of the brainiest in Europe. He tells him he threatened to raise a stand in Central Asia to get evened. The British knew he was placed as a Buddhist monk in Central Asia for the purposes of spying there. Now, we'll just take a brief tangent because these, as Katie knows, these are very odd to make because in the second part, we're going to talk about how Trebitch would become actually very active in Central Asia and would assume the guise for many years as a Buddhist monk in Central Asia, as well as a businessman and a revolutionary. So it's kind of like what's going on is kind of like a self-fulfilling prophecy against odds, I might add.
Did he call himself a bodhisattva?
I think he probably does at some point. Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, a bodhisattva is basically a god, a deity after a fashion, not a living deity. Yeah.
He's turning up in places far apart as Red Bank, New Jersey, and all the while he's writing boastful letters to the press from his various locations, and it kind of conjures up the idea of somebody doing a book tour while a fugitive from the law, while on the run. It's bizarre. He was reported in Silver Lake Park Hotel and the New York Times, and the people in his orbit are under watch, the junts particularly, and rather more sadly, his is placed under watch. I'm trying to remember his name here. It's a really sad story. So his brother is a member of the American Army at this point. This is his brother who's living in Manhattan, who he'd been lodging with, and the FBI placed a tap on his phone. And his brother is gay, and the FBI burst in and arrest him on charges of sodomy and send him to Alcatraz. And it kind of destroys the guy's mental health. So, I mean, this is kind of a recurrent feature amongst all the comedy and the humor of this story. There's a trail of victims left in this bastard's wake. It's so sad because it's a complete not caring what he's doing. So he's on the run for about a month, about 6 weeks possibly. When he gets recaptured, and he congratulates the officials on his capture. I am the cleverest man in America. I'm a British subject, but I hate England. These charges of forgery have merely been trumped up in order that I may be shot as a spy. So very quickly, he's flipped from insisting he's a spy to insisting he's not, as circumstances suit him.
Where is it?
And there's another one. So he goes back into prison, right? As extradition proceedings are still getting bogged down in legal tech. And he's appealing to the Supreme Court. In prison, he formed relationships with like local gangsters to effect his escape. They managed to clone a key, and they almost get out. I don't know how far they got, but the consequences are telling because 2 prison guards lose their jobs over it. So it wasn't just the gangsters that were in on it, it was the guards. So, yeah. First time lucky, second time not so much. He stuck to stringing the FBI along and dining out in restaurants with girls. The Supreme Court ruled that he should return. C.I. Ward comes back, takes him back to Liverpool, and he's in court at Bow Street. Rowntree, Goldstein, and another mark named Finkelstone all appear to give evidence for it. He applies for further time for legal aid and he's refused. He insists on I think he represented himself, cross-examines Rowntree, Goldstein, and Finkelstone, demands that witnesses be called in his defense, including and for cross-examination. Do you want to throw the name or two?
Winston Churchill. Did he call our lovely Welshman as well?
Yep. I think
David Lloyd George.
He also
that was one of
all the people from the War Office and Intelligence Service, Blinker Hall, Captain Kenny, another person did.
That wasn't going to happen.
There's a whole 2-hour tirade when he breaks into tears on various occasions. He admits forgery but explains it's a devilish lie to accuse him of treason. Per Marshall Johnson, this young boy from Brooklyn, is called over to England to give evidence. There's the third hearing. That's the third hearing on the 19th of June. On the 4th of July, he pleads not guilty for, I guess, another hearing. Another 2.5-hour speech about his espionage work this time. The judge has to tell him this is irrelevant. This is Justice Scruton, actually, who was the hanging judge, who probably popped up in other things we've talked about. The jury returns a charge of guilty without retiring. I think it's sentenced to 3 years in Parkhurst in the Isle of Wight. There's an unsubstantiated story about his early time that I'm going to repeat here. I'm going to make an exception and repeat it because I like it, and there is a slither. It's true. Can you remember what it is, Katie, relating to Irishness?
He bribed guards. He tried to escape again, and oh God, I forgot.
Related to a certain Irish possible cellmate.
Oh my God, the Casement. Yes, apparently Casement is involved in this man's biography. I'll hand it over to you to explain who Casement is.
So Sir Roger Casement, who brought the arms ashore for the Easter Rising in Dublin, he didn't bring. He tried to bring the arms ashore and was prevented in doing so. Casement was a bit of, how do you describe Casement? He kind of embraced a lot of social causes internationally. He was a sir. Was he a member of the British Parliament? I can't recall. But he was a man of some seriousness. And they were both briefly, before Casement was shot, they were both briefly in the same prison. And I kind of, it's a rumor that they were cellmates. And I love the idea of that, or even them being next door, because it tickles my funny bone, the idea of like Trebitch going on hours long spiels about how he's been done wrong by this person, that person, and Casement just sitting in the next cell, just bored to fucking tears and so praying to be shot.
Yeah, he was. He worked for the Foreign Office. Born 1st of September 1864 in Sandy Cove in County Dublin. Died in Pentonville Prison in London. Diplomat, poet, humanitarian activist, worked for the British office, the Irish nationalist and anti-imperialist. So he shares sentiments that I hold as well. He's buried in Glasnevin in Dublin.
Thanks for the tip off as to the mic, Scooby. That should be much improved now.
Yeah, he was executed for treason by the British state.
And I don't remember if Casement was gay himself, but the British government did have a hand in fabricating diaries. The Casement diary.
It was implicated. It said in his little Wikipedia entry there with the add citation, so citation needed. So you have to trust me on this one. The British state either obfuscates, hides, shields it from us, or fabricates to doing their supposed rivals or enemies or whatever you want to call us. Because I'm sure I'm an enemy of the state because I don't want this state to exist anymore. The Scottish Republican, by the way.
And one of the suggested culprits of the forged Casement diaries is Monty Gregory.
Yes.
And that's from academia.
Monty Gregory is, yeah. Thank you for educating me on that one.
AC.
The British state uses many different state actors and useful idiots, if you wish, to fabricate or obfuscate, hide from the populace at large and from within government itself, because there's always competing self-interests happening, because the British state is old and it's been going for fucking centuries and you can't fucking trust it. I'm not bitter, honestly.
Trebitch did not like being in prison. I mean, his wife was despairing. That his wife and children were in poverty. They had to reach out to the Salvation Army. Ignatius Jr. had to join the army. Trebitch was right. And we think of all the flurry of letters. This is the next step. He was a spammer, basically. I think that's the best way of describing it.
He was constructing a narrative to actually escape, evade, or maybe lessen what was about to drop in his head. Always
submissions. He had curbs put on how much he could write. I guess any inmate does. So he wrote to the Prime Minister demanding facilities.
Was this asked with it? Was this asked with at the time?
No. September 16, would that have been asked with? I think it would still have been asked with. I think Lloyd George took over later that year. the governor of Parkhurst, where he was moved to, told him his petition privileges would be taken away, and he pretty much just had some sort of like complete breakdown in prison, where he was moved to the hospital for the last year or two. Notes from a biographer say mix of self-pity and romanticism, rage and depression, dreams of reclaiming a fabulous fortune and destroying the empire. That might be Trebitch's own words. He wrote 2 autobiographies. There was one in 1932, which I have read, and I think is online somewhere. So we'll talk about that then. He's about to get out. Vernon Kell, who is another of these military intelligence figures, revokes Trebitch's certificate of naturalization. Now, this was actually very rare.
It was, yes.
Weirdly, I'm not sure why it was very rare.
They're loath to do it. They rather have them on the books as a like either naturalized or an actual citizen or man of former great standing, and use them at their will, essentially. Like I keep on saying, don't trust the British state. Just don't.
There was he had shown himself by act to be disloyal to His Majesty, and he decided when he got out they were going to deport him. And he almost, July 1919, he was due to get out. He was discharged. The Scotland Yard officers took him by train to Harwich to sail the next day. They got a call back from Basil Thompson, MI5, to say, no, actually, he's not going. He's too dangerous. There's things happening in Europe that in his native Hungary that that could become problematic, and we don't want to throw this live wire in there. There was a government in Hungary at the time called the Pt.1 government, who were in power with the Hungarian Soviet Republic, and they were staging an uprising. And Basil Thompson and others feared that if he was returned to disturb Budapest, it would allow, could have greater consequences for the Entente, which is the 3 nations, right? The Entente.
Us, the French, and the Belgians.
Got it. Thanks for that.
You're welcome.
It was a bit difficult because his brother Lajos was actually involved with the Hungarian Social Democrats, and he was already taken part in the revolution. Oh, Omaha, I love that. I'm going to show that comment. Yeah, that's both very historical and timely. Some Random Geek, hello again. Welcome to us.
Hello, Some Random Geek. Everyone, go and follow Some Random Geek. Do it now, but stay here. Some Random Geek.
If there's any I haven't said, if there's anyone said hello to tonight, we apologize. Like first day, we are on course. We're doing really well. This will be a good one for a watch back. The Pt.1 regime fell. Trebitch had been recalled. He'd been put back in prison for another month, and then they met with him again. Bless you. Bless you. Whoa.
Sorry about that, everyone. Sorry if I blasted at your eardrums, everyone. Sorry.
I didn't mean to. I didn't suppose you're lurking.
No. I always mention it when he's. Oh no, he.
No, I had I had their comment pinned to the board when I was meaning to pin the one that's up now. Oh,
Oh, Omaha, I love that one. Wow, someone banging on about always being wrong. If only we had a politician like that now. Yes, exactly, Omaha.
so the police or whoever took him back down to the docks again, made sure he was going to be boarded onto a boat for Rotterdam, but they only walked him to the ferry terminal. They didn't walk him to the boat. So, Katie, where did he go next?
Ah,
We're at the last part of our journey. You know this one.
oh, he ends up in Germany.
Does indeed. He does indeed. And
Rejoice, everyone. This bit's fun. This bit's very fun.
This is a bit Katie knows best.
It is, yes.
He one of the first people he falls in with is not so much a Mark, but possibly the only, besides Margaret, is in fact not even beyond Margaret, is probably the only consistent in his life is Max Bauer. And Max Bauer is a kind of Colonel Max Bauer, right-hand man of General Ludendorff, the big German World War I hero.
Yeah.
Max Bauer, an absolutely nasty character. I have to go use a loo again. Do you want to talk on about Max Bauer, or just fill in some, or just do socials? I'll be right back.
Yeah, Max Bauer wasn't a nice individual. So we're in the lead up to an early putsch in Germany. So this is the Weimar Republic. This is after the First World War, Treaty of Versailles being done. Lots of people in the Weimar Republic and other associated areas around that, they're all very aggrieved. They don't. A good percentage of the German populace don't like what's happened. Some Austrian painter and author, and the social attitudes are changing, and certain people within the German state are formulating plans, if you wish. Think of it like that. So it's not the beer hole putsch, which happens later. This is an early form of it, and Trebitch is involved. It is delightful.
Yeah, so you've got, you remember from your history, you've got post-World War I Germany. Germany is to blame for everything that happened. Germany is so bad, and we're going to steal the money of every working person there and the middle classes.
I wanted to say something. I asked Super Hubby earlier on, who was the ones that were wanting to basically smash the German Empire and smash basically everything up and break it all apart. The French government at the time, and Blackjack Pershing, an American general. They literally wanted to take it back to like an agrarian state, completely decimate, completely break down the military foundation of like the Prussians and other more military-minded German states and princedoms, essentially. So they wanted to basically break apart this, what we know as the Federation of Germany. Essentially, the Weimar Republic was actually trying to do that, but do it with the populace behind them. But the French, and with our backing, we didn't want to be seen to be involved too much, because we're above those petty squabbles happening after the First World War. No, that's utter bollocks. I know exactly what the British government were doing then. We were literally backing the French. They were being the loudmouth. They were promoting this, and this is what was brewing, and that's how this putsch actually happened.
Yeah, so not getting too far ahead of ourselves just yet. So we've got the treachery of Versailles is very much kind of the state that's informing Berlin at this time. And Trebitch, so Bauer's quite like he's a misogynist, he's violent, and he's a rabid anti-Semite. And Trebitch is Hungarian Jew. The pair of them kind of bond. They become like best friends, and are kind of living out of each other's pocket. And I guess with the sort of esteem that like Bauer is no Ludendorff, but that sort of esteem that he brings. And I guess Trebitch is talking up his own associations, a famous international spy angle and embezzling Roundtree as an anti-British move, that he was probably pretended to be a minister because he was spying on people, and I guess he talked all this up, and being in Bauer's orbit, Trebitch did get introduced to a lot of these very disenfranchised Germans from World War One. So he met Ludendorff, he met Lutwitz, he met Kapp, Kapp was kind of like so Kapp wasn't actually heavily involved in the Putsch. He was like the front man that they could use a name of to bring people around, but it was people. Ludendorff was a key figure. Bauer, Trebitch, Lutwitz, Erhard, other people around him, and Trebitch was making friends with these people mostly through Bauer, and also like a lot of sort of American journalists that were in the area. Hearst journalist Alfred G. Anderson, the German correspondent Karl von Weingand. I think Karl von Weingand had a very famous partner, Lady Grace Hay Drummond. And Karl von Weingand and Grace Drummond were very famous for covering one of the first like a big Zeppelin trip or something. The couple did adventures all over the world and profile reporters. So they were in Trebitch's orbit quite a bit. They were living in Berlin. There's a Bolshevik agent called Karl Radak who was on the scene. And the first thing they wanted to do was to get backing from the Crown Prince Wilhelm, who, since Germany's defeat was under Ally, he was essentially in prison, but
it was house arrest.
House arrest,
essentially, yeah.
So Trebitch made a point of trying to get over to see him. And it apparently went to some great lengths. They were already talking about the Putsch and wanted his blessing. But I guess that didn't come. I've got where did that bit of paper go? I've got a big stick out news headline a moment ago. There it is. Yeah. So this is from 23rd September 1919, the London Daily Graphic. Spy envoy to ex-Kaiser. So this is Kaiser Wilhelm, I guess. Crown
It
Prince
is,
Wilhelm.
yes, it's
Yeah.
Kaiser Wilhelm, yeah.
Lincoln's special mission for pronouncement from the fallen warlord. Wilhelm remains silent. Lincoln's secret. Ex-MP fails in his promise to startle the world. And the New York Times devote a whole page to Trebitch talking about a few pleasant chats of a purely personal and private nature. Working against England, I am already beginning. But I mean, there's no evidence to suggest, or evidence suggests Trebitch nowhere near talking to Wilhelm, if I remember rightly. So the kind of the British in Berlin knew this was coming and knew this was going to happen. The plan was that Ludendorff, Lincoln, Bauer, and all would call in German militia from all over to march on the capital and to seize all the Capitol buildings. And bearing in mind that Ludendorff was the great war hero, who he was famous, and was still a very high-ranking officer. He had a lot of like devotion, a lot of loyalty to him. And General Malcolm, the British mission there, was reporting a coup was imminent. And Trebitch, Katie, are you still with us?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah,
I'm just
sorry.
checking my phone.
Checking your phone. The football's lost. We've lost a football match.
No, oh no, Scotland lost ages ago. No. I got a lot of notifications came in one go. I wanted to see what they were.
Oh, you can't. You don't see Jeremy Paxman checking his phone at Newsnight. Come on, standards, broadcast standards.
I'm not a journalist. I don't need to stick
You're
to
learning the wrong lessons from Laura Koonsberg. I don't care what she does with her phone. There's probably some real smell on her phone now, to be fair.
I don't want to look at it. I don't.
Nobody wants to see that.
We don't. We really don't.
I don't know why I'm laughing. It's horrible.
Probably.
So anyway, Trebitch swings into one of the hotels, or the Hotel Adlon, we'll say, and tells Karl Weigand that I am going to be a very rich man in a day or two. He finds Karl the night before the coup. So there's Kapp, there's Lutwitz, there's Bauer, there's Earhart, there's Trebitch and Pabst, and we'll remind you of those names next week because they also can feature in another big story. But he tells Weigand, tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. I shall march in with the troops from the Doberitz to the Brandenburg Gate to liberate Germany from misery, corruption, and crime. So I've got an 8:30 a.m. story, but I don't know where I kind of want to make sure you get a word in. So where do you want to? Well, I'll tell you a 8:30 a.m. story, right? I'll tell the setup of the Putsch beginning. So he gets driven. Trebitch comes down from the Hotel Adlon where he's staying, driven in a motor car to Hotel Excelsior with a guard of honor of 2 soldiers. And he storms into the breakfast room of the Hotel Excelsior and announces, power is in our hands. The they storm on the Capitol buildings. Trebitch goes into the offices of the right-wing newspaper. I don't think I can pronounce this. I wonder, can I spell it for you?
Type it, put it in the chat, and I should be able to pronounce it. I've done German at school, everyone, by the way.
So,
and I kept it up until my mid-20s.
Oh, that's not that hard. Cruiseitong? Cruiseitong? Yeah. So he marches into the offices of Cruiseitong and he tells them he is in charge. Once more?
Cruiseitong.
Cruiseitong.
Yeah, it's easier for Scots apparently because the same vowel structure in Broad Scots and in German. That's why it's easier for us to learn German, oddly enough, even though French was promoted more in Scottish schools. Bell Alliance, essentially.
Essentially, Trebitch's role in the Kapp Putsch is to be the press secretary and the minister for propaganda in this new German government. The old German government fleet for Dresden, but they're not out of the picture yet.
They're not.
Trebitch goes into the offices of the right-wing paper.
Cruiseitong. Who
had been actually quite pro-coup, and he tells no, the entire Berlin press is closed down for the foreseeable future. And what happens throughout the week is this:
rejoice, freedom of the press.
What happens during the week is that he's in constant loggerheads with this and other papers, and they're complaining. They're like, we're in favor of the coup, why? And he goes control mad. So if you think this is a Mount Pleasant sorting office all over again, he's writing over newspapers, any letters going out. He's particularly censorious with the British Mail. If you think of, you seen Good Morning Vietnam, the two press censors in that who let nothing out of Robin Williams' desk, and they're exactly, Trebitch is like 5 of them guys. He heads up the government press office. The officials are taken back. He's quite high-handed. He says, if you think this is bad, quite a lot of other things will be happening to you.
Oh my God, he's power mad.
He's gone bonkers. Until now, foreign propaganda has been conducted on false principles, and I am going to demonstrate how it is to be done properly. And this causes international uproar. I mean, even amongst his friends, Carl Weigand and the various press people there, they're being censored as well, and they're not happy about it. There's
naughty.
A report from the Daily Telegraph on the qualities of the new German government. Tact is not among them. On Trebitch Lincoln specifically, this gentleman refuses to pass anything that does not correspond with his idea of the truth, and that his idea does not correspond with mine will be clear from the fact that he suppressed in its entirety the first telegram I handed him. So it'd be a good friend to have. So this is
that was basically the British state saying you're doing propaganda while they're doing propaganda. Delightful.
So it's really getting quite silly. So the Kapp Putsch lasts trying to think, is it 5 days or about that? Is it Monday to Friday
I
essentially?
think
Or is
it's 6 days. It's damn close to like a week. So it's like 5 days and about a few hours, like 12 or 13 hours or something. So I've rounded it up to like 6 days. It didn't last that long.
Yeah. There's not an awful lot really happens, although there are stories there about Trebitch just making a nuisance of himself. Ludendorff is being pressured by Trebitch and Bauer to exercise more control and more authority over the rest of Germany. They do, they are in control of Berlin, make no mistake. But
Yes, they are.
the government in Dresden, the government in exile in Dresden, calls a national strike. So with any other troops moving in to support Trebitch and Bauer in Berlin, they are getting obstructed on their way. So all of Germany is just closing down until the Kapp Putsch is removed. Kapp resigns, flees, does a runner. Meanwhile, the Daily Telegraph man marks Trebitch Lincoln a villain. I've got 2 more quotes for you here. He has been handicapped by nature with a face in every feature of which deceit, dishonesty, and brutality are written for all who care to read. Nothing could be more typical, this is a different one, quote, nothing could be more typical of the political childishness of the Kapp gang than the fact that they chose this man to be their link of communication with the British press. So essentially this general strike essentially brings down the Putsch, and the ringleaders go on the run. Some of them, I think some of them, like Ludendorff, are just still walking the streets when the government returns. They refuse to leave. I know Trebitch runs away and then comes back to Berlin fairly quickly. So does Bauer. There's
a question in chat for a second. John 45 Doe. Scotland. Ireland.
Northern Ireland. Hello.
Northern Ireland. Sorry. Force of habit. I only see Ireland.
I never thought about the initial dimension because Northern Irish people tend to speak really, really fast, and seem so much to get to. I've just been doing that. So apologies if
that's all right.
Somebody's.
Oh no, Scots do it as well.
Catching everything. Only one more story to do with the Kapp Putsch, and it's quite a good one. And I suspect you know this one too, Katie. It's one of the more told ones.
Remind me.
Little guy, funny moustache.
Oh, citation needed for this one. Yes, apparently Trebitch met some Austrian painter and author. Citation needed. I liked your earlier videos before we met, and you were going through all the sort of conspiracies that he actually met him. I like to think that they might have done, but again, citation needed.
I can't remember. I do have it noted down in. I can't remember if it is. So it will be from either Wasserstein or Lamp and Cisnasi that there is some truth to the Hitler Trebitch story. Now, a lot of people have blown it out of proportion. So it's said that they met through the Kapp Putsch, that they were fellow conspirators. That's not entirely. It's not verified. Hitler was part of the Kapp Putsch, but he was a completely different part of the country.
Yeah.
And he actually flew in with, I think it was a guy called, Dietrich Eckart. poet and journalist, and possibly also his pilot.
Yes, I went and checked that after I watched your previous videos about Trebitch a couple of weeks ago. And yeah, he crops up again in Kristallnacht. And yes, he was his pilot. This part, uh, uh, more verification is needed, but we can kind of believe it happened. We can. Obviously, all those concerned are no longer among us. They've died many, many fucking decades ago now. But you can believe it. Kind of.
So I've heard two. So the story that I do have that is the closest to verification by two main biographers seems to take place at is listed as two different locations. One being the Reich Chancellery building in Berlin. The other being at the Hotel Adlon. And
Yeah.
I think the Hotel Adlon one's the story best backed up. I don't know if you can see this actually. This is a photo of Trebitch in Berlin.
Move it back a bit.
I'm trying to think where
it's a bit fuzzy.
Oh,
there we go.
It's really hard to see because it's in blue, but he's just covered in pigeons. Covered in pigeons. I've been trying to find where I got it from, but it's not here. But anyway, the Hitler story. So the last day of the Putsch, Dietrich Eckart and Hitler walk into the Hotel Adlon, where the last of the conspirators are packing their bags and getting ready to do a runner. And actually, Kapp must have been about at this point because Eckart and Hitler know where Kapp's room is in the hotel.
Yeah.
And they see Trebitch Lincoln run up the stairs. Eckart gripped Hitler's arm and drew him towards the door. Come on, Adolf, we have nothing here. I've actually got a citation for that, sort of from Memoirs of Hitler's press chief Otto Dietrich, published posthumously in 1957. So I wonder, because there's an index at the back of that, I wonder, is that there everywhere? I can check that out, but essentially that's kind of, there's lots on Hitler. I do not have time to look through all that stuff, but we'll meet Hitler again actually on our journey next week, and a lot of the Kapp Putsch conspirators too. Next week we talk about the movement to take back Russia, business dealings in China.
The International, yeah.
We talk about Trebitch's monastery and his church. And we talk about Nazis and the occult. And it's going to be another weird bunch of funny, sad, pathetic shit. I'm both looking forward to it very much.
It will be good.
I want to see if Lampman says, and he has an index for Hitler. Has anybody any questions? I want to go back and read through chat because I've not, I love reading chat. 1732122.
John 45. How's life over there? You guys getting arrested for tweets too? No, I'm off the health site. I don't go into it. I've got people in my community who actually go into that hell site. I don't. I ceremonially burnt it with my friend once I rescued her from New Jersey and New York. Well, she lived in New Jersey and worked in New York. I went over to
Sorry,
her
what are you
house and
talking about?
anyway,
Twitter, the hell site? Which there's so many hell sites. Which one? Which one? Which hell
Twitter,
site? Which hell site?
Twitter.
Twitter. Ah,
That is the
Twitter.
only
Hell
dead
site.
naming I do. It is not X, Elon, get wrecked. It is Twitter. Fuck off.
Blue sky. Blue sky.
I'm on Blue Sky and I'm on Threads as well, but that seems to be infected with a lot of Starmer supporters who are losing their minds. It is fun to see. I keep on laughing at them. For more on that, check out No Justice MTG. We laugh together at them losing their shit with Burnham getting installed as party leader and prime minister. I don't like him. Don't get me wrong. Burnham, go and do one. Just fuck off. But I might be called bitter because he campaigned for better together and I wanted my country back. Things might change. Citation needed. We'll have to wait to see what he's like as Prime Minister. We really will.
I can give you a bit more on that Hitler story if you like.
Yes.
So this is from Wasserstein, and it cites that 1957 source a bit more fully. And I just have to bring this down. Ooh, spooky. Eckhart had distinguished himself as editor of the magazine Putsch. With Eckhart, Hitler into an open sporting plane on the Kapp Putsch, Hitler's first flight. Set up his headquarters in the lobby of the in Berlin. While waiting there, Eckhart and Hitler saw newly appointed press chief Lincoln going up the stairs to Kapp's rooms. Trebitch Lincoln was reputed to be Jewish. Eckhart promptly gripped Hitler's arm and drew him towards the door, saying, "Come on, Adolf, we have no further business here," whereupon they left Berlin. Hitler often described this incident in conversation. Oddly enough, adds Wasserstein, Trebitch, who was seldom backward in retelling stories of his meetings with the high and mighty, never seemed to have mentioned this occasion. Possibly the corporal from Munich seemed so insignificant that he forgot all about it. Or perhaps, and this is suggested by Dietrich's version, the two visitors did not actually talk to Trebitch, but merely saw him on the stairs. There seems little reason to doubt Dietrich's veracity in the matter. He can hardly be accused of profiteering or sensationalism in a book which he deliberately withheld from publication until after his death. And there's apparently an earlier book published in Germany in 1934. Dietrich had already hinted at the encounter, though without filling in all the details. So, yeah. Trebitch, that was Trebitch and Hitler's only encounter in the flesh, but they would cross paths in other ways. So, but who cares? Fucking dickheads. Right, to my chat. To our chat. I have not been arrested for a tweet, no, but I did get blocked from a Facebook group for, no, not really a Facebook account for suggesting they were living off the backs of the vulnerable.
I couldn't possibly say if they. Not that it hits on anything that I talk about in my streams every time I stream. And, don't worry, your lass is keeping an eye on our British government because I have to, obviously. For all intents and purposes, I'm at their mercy.
I think this is the first time in many streams I've actually managed to keep up with the chat. Probably helps having it on camera.
Hang on, I'll stand up a second. See, look, I've got a lovely, lovely flowing skirt and a peplum top. I've chosen to go with white because it's Disability Pride Month, and being disabled myself, I'm advocating for myself, as always.
I'm wearing
And
grey jogging bottoms with holes in them, made by gerbils, but they look like they were made by hot knives.
How are the lovely gerbils?
Oh, troublesome as usual. Well, some more than others. The boys got, so the two boys are quite large. They got to run out the pen, which I like to do. You know, because there's a few of them are in on their own or they're in small enclosures. So I get them, particularly in this heat. If I can do it daily for those ones, then great. Kosh has been very naughty. Kosh is a wee albino, and I honestly can't let her out while I'm not in the room because she will jump over the sides, and sometimes she'll jump over the sides while I'm in the room anyway, just out of badness. There is this is actually Trebitch Lincoln in Venice, 1923. It's a pigeon picture. It's quite a nice one. There we go.
Oh no.
So, yeah. I'm about all talked out on Trebitch tonight. We got through that very well. Round of applause. And if you can't wait, there's, as we mentioned earlier, there's some really good short videos, like 5-6 minute animations. I watched one earlier, it was about 17-18 minutes, called I think it's called the Jewish Dalai Lama, which has a few inaccuracies, but only for like a complete nerd like me on this area.
And a complete nerd like me as well.
Yes, welcome to Trebitch Nerddom. Welcome to, you're all now indoctrinated into Trebitch Nerddom. Who have we still got? Have we only 4 people? Is everybody else abandoned us? Oh dear.
Sorry about that. I had to change over. I have taken off my lovely skirt. It does fit me, but the fastenings on it kind of dig in a bit. So I have changed over to my PG bottoms.
Tartans.
Vaguely similar to the Celtic tartan. Because obviously. And they match my hair.
Stuff. I want to plug some stuff because I'm brilliant and I'm working constantly. Except this is kind of my holiday week, so it's only like constant. tomorrow morning on YouTube, tomorrow midday, I've got my final Sunday Comics piece for possibly for the year, but probably not. Like a 5-6 minute review of a really good indie British comic that I found that's not got quite the readership it should. I've got coming on Monday to Patreon. I've got a really good short story, a really funny short story. Damn, I meant to put my Ko-fi and PayPal in the links because I could really use a few quid right now. So if any of you can find that, I would like to. My Patreon is always good, but you won't pay anything until the first of the month, which is nice. That'll work well for you because there's like 9 years of archives in there, along with a brand new episode of I've Never Read Discworld, where my co-host and I discuss A Hatful of Sky, reading it for the first time. Yeah, coming up, some more stuff coming up next couple of months. Things are beginning to fall into plan there, so that's nice. How about you, Katie? Are you streaming much this week?
Yes, I will be streaming tomorrow and Monday. Well, technically today. Award-winning Kerbalism. I'm loath to... Fuck it. Give me a minute. I'm going to punish myself. Award-winning Kerbalism.
Oh, no. Okay, this is a regular feature. Regulars will know about this time of night, or maybe when I'm in the middle of my flow state and presenting beautifully, Katie decides to sabotage the stream for you, me, all of us, by looking in to see who will be the guests on tomorrow morning's Laura Koonsberg show. And usually they are, popularly known politicians like Satan, like Ted Bundy, like Myra Hindley usually appears on there, Donald Trump. Yeah, so those fun sort of figures. So Katie, destroy our evening for us. Who's on Koonsberg tomorrow? She's shocked into silence. Any minute now, her face is going to drop.
You suck, Twitter. Go away.
This should be a sound clip, really. Just Katie going, oh, for fuck's sake.
Oh, no, God, no, just... why are you doing this to me? Okay, I can't see Andy at the minute, so we've got Business Secretary Peter Kyle. Just end me. Shadow Chancellor Mel Stride, again, just fucking end me. And former Cabinet Secretary Lord Simon Case, who had to step down due to the Lord Yum Yum. And the panel's got Jess Phillips, MP for Birmingham Yardley. For more than that, just ask Kev. Toby Perkins, I'm not sure, and Luke Charters is a journalist and former politician.
Life and death, O Lord, abide with me. That's a traditional funeral hymn, isn't it? Oh, I think your mic's on the blink, Katie. This is what happens when you open another tab. Let's see if she can write that shortly. Yeah, so despite that bad news about Koonsberg guests, I will not be jumping out of this open window. I have a belt tied to the table here to prevent me from doing so. Oh, no, Katie. Not yet. Backup microphone. It's a very nice microphone. if you try your mic settings, which are down there somewhere on Restream. But I have a feeling anyway, we're probably going to shoot on soon. If Katie's up for it, I'm up for hanging about on Katie's Discord and the voice chat in there. Be lovely to hear from some of you. No? Shall we end stream? Do you want to like mime out like goodbye and so if you had Laura Kunsberg in front of you, what finger gesture would you make to her? I don't know if that was like a bomb or a bag of coffee. She's out. She's saluting. A film, book, a play. Oh, yes, yes, that's a recognizable universal symbol. I guess thank you all for joining us. I really, you are the unseen heroes of these streams. Yeah, if I could, I would. Is it too obsequious to say I would credit you as well? It really, really does feel like you are a part of this. So thank you everybody for turning up tonight. Particularly this one's been important to me as a big thing. And we'll return next week, and maybe on Discord and Katie's voice chat later. Say good night to Katie. Bye.